Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me. I have another process video for you today, and I created this layout for the Cocoa Vanilla Studio design team. And I really wanted to scrapbook this adorable photo of my little niece Eliza. And so I decided to pull out the Cocoa Vanilla Love Always collection. And this is still one of my favourite collections from Cocoa Vanilla. I just really love the soft pastel colours, and then there's some black and white in the collection as well, which contrasts really beautifully with the softer colours. And it is actually designed as a wedding themed collection. But what I love about the Cocoa Vanilla ranges is that even the ones that are themed still have so much in them that can be used for any project really. And I think that the colours and even a lot of the sentiments in this collection make it perfectly suited for baby themed layouts. So on this layout, I'm mostly going to be using the soft pinks and greys from the collection because they're going to coordinate perfectly with the colours that my niece is wearing in the photo. And I'm going to try very hard to give this layout a minimalist design. I really just want to keep it very simple and clean, and to keep the focus on the photo. And I think sometimes it's actually harder, well, I find it harder to create a minimalist layout as opposed to one with one that has more going on the page, because you have to be more deliberate about what you add to the layout. And you have to be able to restrain yourself and know when to stop adding things. But hopefully I do achieve that on this page. So I've trimmed down my white cardstock background so that I can mat it with that grey patterned paper. And then I want to add some pretty layers behind my photo. Because I'm going to keep the embellishing to a minimum, I think some layers behind the photo will just add some interest while still keeping the overall design quite clean and simple. So I end up deciding on using that soft pink patterned paper as well as that pretty scripty paper to layer behind the photo. So now I'm just going to add some machine stitching around the edge of the layout, and this is something that I do quite often, but I just really like the subtle texture that it adds to the page. So there you can see that I've done the stitching. And then I'm going to gut that grey patterned paper so that the middle part isn't wasted, and then I can use it on another layout. And I always do this, even though I've got more patterned paper in my stash than I could ever use. I just can't stand wasting pretty paper because I think one day I'm just going to need that paper. So I always do this when I'm going to mat my white cardstock with a patterned paper. So I'm going to tuck a doily underneath my photo, and this just adds a soft, delicate layer behind the photo. And then I just want to add a few ink splatters to the page, and because I'm only going to use soft colours on this layout, I decided to use a silvery grey colour ink. And I decided to do this first before I add my embellishments, because then if I don't like where some of the ink splatters land, I can just cover them up with an embellishment. So now I'm ready to start embellishing, and the first thing I'm going to do is add a few of the wood veneer pieces from the collection. And these are just so beautiful. I think they would have to be one of my favourite things in the collection. So I'm going to tuck that pretty wood veneer flower under the left hand side of the photo, and I want to use that word sweet as part of my title, and I really love that scripty font of that word. And then so next I'm having a look at the chipboard stickers from the collection, and I decide on adding that pink circular one that says love you, and I love the pop of pink that this adds to the page, and I think it's just such a pretty shade of pink as well. And so then I've already pulled out some of the die cuts from the collection that I think could go well on this layout, and I decide on adding that little scallop die cut, and it was actually a longer piece, but I used half of it on another layout, and I end up tucking it under the edge of the photo, and I really like the extra detail that this adds. So next I'm having a look at the die cuts from the Wild at Heart collection to see if there's anything that I can add from that pack, and I decide on using that film strip, which I'm just tucking under the right hand side of the photo. So I'm just trying to add lots of different layers behind my photo to give it lots of interest, and then I end up moving that scallop die cut onto the bottom edge of the photo instead. And then I'm just going to add this little flower to the right hand side of the photo. So I'm ready to start sticking some things down, and the first thing I'm going to do is glue that wood veneer flower underneath the left hand side of the photo, and then I'm going to use my tape runner to stick down all of those layers. And I don't want them to move around because I'm happy with how they look, so I'm just holding them in place with one hand and lifting up the edges just to add some tape underneath. And I'm not going to add too much tape because I actually want the edges of those layers to lift up off the page to give it some extra dimension. Then I'm going to add some foam tape underneath the photo because it's going to need to be raised up a bit to be able to tuck that wood veneer flower underneath it. So now I'm going to complete my title using the alphabet stickers from the collection, and I'm just adding my niece's name underneath the word sweet, and so the title will be Sweet Eliza. And I'm using my T-square ruler to make sure that it's straight on the page. Even though the photo isn't straight, I felt like I wanted the title to be straight. And there's my little Eleanor's hand. She came over to check out what I was doing, and she was pointing out which letters she thought I should add to my page. I just love her cute little chubby hand. So then I'm going to add my journaling to the page. And as I nearly always do, I've typed it up on my computer and I've printed it out and cut it up into strips. And I'm just going to add that there underneath the title. And once again, I'm going to use my T-square ruler just to make sure that it's straight. And then the last thing I'm going to do is stick down those little hearts, and then I'll be done. Although I did and ah about whether to add more to the page, but I was determined to keep it simple this time, so I left it at that, and I am quite happy with how it turned out. So I hope you enjoyed this process video. I'll include a link to the Cocoa Vanilla online shop in the details section below if you'd like to go and check out the Love Always collection, and I'll have some close-ups for you at the end. Thanks guys, see you later, bye!